We're going to discuss the topics that matter to you: race, single parenting, domestic violence, education, and now, the Hagir Show.
Welcome and greetings from the Radisson Convention Center. We are here enjoying an evening of the South Central Sickle Cell Council annual event. We have our next generation of leaders, of researchers, and our future generation encouraging you to please invest, to act, to volunteer, and to go straight to the website so that you can find a way to make a great contribution.
Moonlight, and you pull me close. Split second, then you disappear, and then I was all alone.
Hello, and please help me welcome Ms. Patty. Can you introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Sure. I am the state representative for the city of Harrisburg, as well as Steelton, High Spire, Paxton, and parts of Swear-Terra Township, which is the 103rd district. My name is Patty Kim, and I am a Democrat serving this community.
Thank you. Thank you for your service, and I'm honored to have you here with us. And can you tell me why you're in this event and why it's important?
Sure. The Central Pennsylvania Sickle Cell Anemia Council is a nonprofit that's very important to me. I have a number of constituents who have sickle cell anemia. I've heard their stories, I've heard their journey, and I've heard their pain. And it's something that we need to address in this community. We don't talk about it a lot. I don't think people know a lot about it. So having events like this not only raises money for consulting and support, but also helps raise awareness that it is here and that we're working hard to find a cure and money for medication and research, but for some reason we're just not getting the momentum that we need. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who struggle with a disease like HIV or breast cancer. There's a lot of money goes toward that because it's going to affect a lot of people. Sickle cell anemia, small portion of folks, mostly in the African American community. We don't get a lot of attention. So we have to push, we have to be the squeaky wheel to make sure that we get attention and funding, adequate funding for our communities.
Thank you for everything you're doing, and that's what we're trying to do today, to talk to people and try to raise awareness. And like you said, there is a lot of health issue that is not addressed. This is one of them. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And if there's one thing that you want everybody out there to know or do as a community to help, what would that be?
Learn more about it. If you have the sickle cell anemia gene, it's really important to communicate it with your partner, because we don't want the next generation to suffer. But just to be supportive, there's great counselors here who would talk to families and guide them through the process, and we need that. And coming out to fun events, having fun, eating good food, while helping this nonprofit is one way that most of the community can help. So thank you so much for this and for helping us raise awareness.
I have Miss Nolan here with me. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us why you're in this event tonight?
My name is Nolan Duncan. I am a Mary Kay Sales Director. The reason I'm here is because sickle cell is very close to my heart. I have a niece that was 3 years old when she found out she had it. The main reason it was so late is because she was born in Panama. Her father, which is my brother, was in his service. And when we found out she had it, we started taking action with it. Unfortunately, that's something that there's no cure for, so she's now 37 and still dealing with her situations. And we as a family are trying to be supportive. So knowing that she has it and several other people that I know, it is close to heart. And like I say, it's like there's no cure, so it's something that people have to live with, and the people that they love and support have care and concern for those people. So I like helping, and I like to do whatever I can to help raise awareness to the disease and to let people know that the sooner they find out about it, the sooner they can work as a team with doctors to deal with the condition.
Thank you very much. And I learned from you earlier that you're helping with this fundraising and helping with Mr. Joseph, right?
Yes, yes. Joe Robinson is a friend of mine, and whatever to do to help, I love helping different communities out there, different needs out in the community.
Well, thank you for your time. We greatly appreciate that, and thank you for everything you're doing. Please help me introduce Miss Shalon and Ron. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us who you are and why you're here?
My name is Shalon James, and I am the mother of a 15-year-old with sickle cell disease.
And my name is Ronald Johnson. I suffer with sickle cell. I'm also a board member of the South Central Pennsylvania Sickle Cell Council, and I sit on the board as a client representative, which gives the board of directors an in-depth look at the struggles that we go through with sickle cell on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, okay. Well, what are we doing here tonight?
Well, tonight is our annual gala for sickle cell disease. Sickle cell is an underrepresented disease, and so events like this are helpful to help raise money, to help with research, medication, you name it.
Yeah, it's a big promotional event. It's actually the sickle cell soiree that we hold annually, and what we do is we see if we can get sponsors to help to spread the word of sickle cell disease. It's been around for so long a time, but if you would ask the mainstream public, they know pretty much nothing about sickle cell disease, and which is known as the invisible and forgotten disease.
It is, it is, it is. And this is part of raising awareness and letting people know what is going on and what they can do to help.
Yes.
Can you please tell everyone basically what they need to know and how they can help?
Well, what the first thing you need to know is, you can't spot a person with sickle cell disease unless they're in a crisis. We look just as normal as you or anyone else. And, when the crisis comes, it's a painful, horrific thing. You can be up for days, weeks, sometimes you're hospitalized for months. And, it's really no known cure, because if there was a real known cure, then everybody would have it. Now, I'm over a half a century old, and I realize that, I'm grateful for all of the new medical researches that are being done for the disease, but as for me, I'm not in a category where I can get any type of help yet. So I'm still suffering on a day-to-day basis. Not only do we suffer with sickle cell, but we suffer with other diseases as well. The sickle cell combats, battles with our kidneys, our internal organs, and we get necrosis because the oxygen is not flowing one way to the body, and we can have a massive stroke, heart attack, or anything by the pain being so severe. So the only way that we're really being treated is with opiates, and as long as we be able to function somewhat a normal life, but we have no control over when the crisis comes. Anything's liable to set the crisis off of cold weather, hot weather. You get dehydrated. It's a lot. It's many components to this disease. It's a physical component as well as a mental component that we have to combat daily, because a lot of older people are depressed and don't even realize it.
For me as a parent of a child with sickle cell disease, it's been quite a life altering. My son he's 15. He plays soccer. He's a sophomore in high school. He's active every day, but there are those days when he cannot go to school. I struggle with sending him to school on the opioids, and figuring out whether I should send him or whether I should just have him have a day off from school, because I know having to make it work is also stressful, which could bring on another crisis. My son has had a stroke, so he is blind in both of his eyes to the right, so he has no peripheral vision to the right. But if you look at him, you wouldn't know it. He is one of the most compassionate people that I've ever met in my life. He has taught me, this disease has taught me so much about strength and the will and desire to just go on. And so
I find it hard to complain about a headache when I know that, folks like Ron and folks like my son are struggling every day. And so I just get up and I go with it because my headache is nothing compared to what I know that they go through every day.
It give you a different perspective to life.
Yes.
So living with sickle cell or having someone close to you who's suffering from sickle cell, how do you guys cope? How do you cope?
My faith in God is everything to me.
Yes.
There have been some nights where I've sat by my son's bed and done nothing but pray and not know what to do. Because he's in so much pain, and I've given him everything that the doctor has prescribed for me to give to him, and nothing is touching the pain. And that prayer and that faith in God calms. It's amazing. It's I grew up in the church, and my family is deeply religious, but there's something when you actually know it for yourself and you can feel it for yourself. It moves you. And this is, I'm a firm believer that God doesn't put anything on you that you can't bear.
Cannot handle.
And this was, as much as my son suffers, this was God's way of transforming me and making me a better person and kind of telling me to slow down in my life because I was moving fast. And it's been amazing. And then you network with other people that
support
that
each
have
other.
that have the disease.
Coming from an era where it wasn't no support. I was brought up in the heart of the stigma. Nobody actually knew that I was battling the sickle cell disease. And somewhere along 2005, July the 3rd, 6:39 p.m., when I coded and I thought I was leaving here, I put everything to the wind and went to God for myself. And ever since then, I've been moving because, see, I never discussed the fact that I had sickle cell with nobody but my close circle. And if you wasn't in my circle, you never even knew. I just used to disappear. And I was a wild child. And, I was selfish. I just thought about me, and I lived every day like it was my last. But when God steps in and transforms you, because I tell people all the time when I'm asked to speak, don't judge me by my look. Because my relationship with God is intact, and if it had not been for him, because you keep getting these death sentences from the doctors, and you're still here, and then you're able to advocate for yourself and for others, and that's the real blessing.
It is a real blessing, and I can't say I feel what you're going through, because like you said, it just gives you a different perspective to life, to hear and meet with someone who is going through pain, but the support that you guys get from your family and from each other.
And even from the community, because, I remember a time when every time that I was in a crisis when I was younger, the Jerry Lewis telethon was on. Those folks rode their kids out before the whole world. Our parents didn't, my parents didn't do that, so it was just kept in-house. It was it was one of them taboos, like cancer, mental illness, HIV and AIDS. And see, I no longer can afford to sit by and just, not say anything. And I know that there's other people suffering. If God has left me here to, to advocate for this disease, and, and that's with any chronic illness, it needs to be spread, but mostly particularly because they call this a predominantly African American disease, or people from the Mediterranean, anybody with color, So, it's very important that we let the world know that this disease is real and people are really suffering. And then, they get to the point where they get so depressed that they think suicide, because this pain is not what the average person could deal with on a daily basis. You can lose your mind trying to deal and operate through this, so. And I did pretty much that too, because I was crazy.
Have you thought of doing anything to yourself?
No, others.
Good.
Because I was mean as a snake, because that was my way of coping with it. I suppressed the sickle cell disease. I remember being about 8 or 9, and they had called my family into the hospital room, and they were surrounding my bed, and they were saying that, that I wouldn't grow up, I wouldn't live. And, for a child to hear that, we subconsciously block things. And when we get to a certain age, we just break out. And that's part of my reason, and God had to show me all of this stuff to pull me back. I got flickers and flashes of the struggle, And now I'm understanding why I'm still here and why I'm supposed to advocate as hard as I do. And trust me, I advocate hard, not only for the sickle cell disease, but even for my community. You know, I'm doing things that I've never dreamt possible, things that people said I could never do. I'm still able to do, you know. And the blessing is, my mother just turned 82. She's the oldest South Central Pennsylvania sickle cell member that is still living. And I'm blessed to be able to spoil her rotten.
That's
and
good.
that's what I take pride in, is spoiling my mother rotten.
Well, we're glad you're here. We're glad both of you are here and actively participating and trying to help raise awareness, because if we don't talk about it,
That's right.
nobody's
That's
going
right.
to do anything or know about
Yes.
it. So we truly appreciate what you're doing. There is anything last word that you want to tell everyone out there, or just
that folks are dying.
Yeah.
And by the dozens every day. We both, Ron and I, belong to a Facebook group, and I think just this week there were 6 or 7 posts of folks that are in their 20s, in their early 30s, that have had massive heart attacks and died, or pneumonia, or congestive heart failure, and they're no longer here. And this is a disease that, in my lifetime, since I've been working with my son and working with his doctors, so many things have changed from when Ron was my son's age. So for example, kids now, when they are born and they are diagnosed, they get on a prophylactic penicillin regimen, and they take it every day. That wasn't around when Ron was born.
Phenobarbital was the answer for everything in those days.
Right, and what that does is that stops the chronic infections and the chronic bacterial infections. And so just in that little bit of, in the last 15 years, that was something brand
things
new.
changed.
Yes.
Things have changed, and so I'm hopeful. Because I want to see my son grow up. I want. He keeps telling me he's gonna buy me a car, and I'm waiting for that car. You know, in order for him to do that, you know, he has goals to meet, and he has things to meet, and he is a kid that doesn't let anything stop him. And it's amazing, his spirit and his generosity towards mankind, and the compassion that I think is so lacking today. It just and so, like, folks with sickle cell disease have this innate thing in them that makes them so much more compassionate and so much more empathetic and understanding about folks. And you know, if people want to do things, donate blood. African Americans, people of color need to register to be donors. Not only organ donors, but bone marrow donors. There is a severe lack of African Americans and people of color on the bone marrow registry. That could be life-saving for somebody. We're all from the motherland, and so I'm quite sure, I believe that there are matches for folks. But if people don't register and people don't get tested, you'll never find that.
You're right.
So if we don't need money, take 10 minutes of your time, go give blood, go register, get on the national register, and then when they call you, show up.
You will save lives.
It will save lives, or multiple lives. Multiple lives.
Or formulate a support group. Because that was the one thing, because, you know, I had reservations when I first came aboard all those years ago, you know, until you hear somebody's story your story coming out of somebody else's mouth. It seemed like everybody that was sitting around this round table, that was something that I could identify with, you know. So, form a support group and let these people know that they're not alone. That's part of the reason that most of them still stay in the shadows. Because, you know, I want to write a book. If I wrote a book, it would be not only for the sickle cell population, but people with any kind of chronic illness and how to get through. You know, and first of all, keep God first. Because don't listen to what nobody else say. You go to God for yourself. Seek Him first.
I can't do what 10 people tell
She is always right there when I need her. Oh, I think that I found myself a cheerleader. She is always right there when I need her.
Welcome back, and we have Mr. Joe here with us. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Sure. My name is Joseph Robinson Jr. I'm the Executive Director of the South Central Pennsylvania Sickle Cell Council here in Harrisburg, and we're responsible for 26 counties throughout South Central Pennsylvania. And here we provide supportive services to families who are living with sickle cell disease.
Okay. So can you just tell us what is sickle cell disease?
Oh my goodness, sickle cell disease first of all, it's an inherited disease, and it's genetic, of course, and it's incurable. It's also a disease that's marked by pain. That's one of the primary markers, is an individual has pain. The reason they have pain is because that sickle, that blood cell is abnormally shaped in the cell of a sickle, like a crescent moon. Because of a hemoglobin deficiency. So as a result, it sickles the cell. And so imagine this crescent moon trying to fit its way down through all the cylindrical tube-like veins in your body. But yet this sickled cell is clogging as it's trying to go through that tube. Well, that's what causes all the excruciating pain. And not only is it causing pain, but it's causing blood blockage and shortening the blood flow. So what happens is a lot of your organs are deprived of oxygen-rich blood. And so consequently, you end up with a lot of organ failure. Young children have strokes as a result of it. And so it causes sometimes, because of the blood circulation not getting through to the body, it causes even sometimes the bones to deteriorate, what we call necrosis of the bones, where they just die and wither away. And so sometimes a lot of people with sickle cell disease may have a limp because of some of the joints have deteriorated. And so the primary marker is pain. You live with pain. You live with some degree of pain every day of your life. When it gets so unbearable, it's what we call a pain crisis, where you literally must go to the ER and subject yourself to some heavy narcotics that the hospital administers to help you get through the pain until that crisis subsides. And that sometimes can take anywhere from 3 days to 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. So that's what sickle cell is. It's a tough disease, and it's incurable.
It is. And what are you guys doing now? What's tonight's event?
Well, tonight is our annual soiree and silent auction. And what we're attempting to do is just generate some additional revenue to support the council, the work of the council, because we provide support to the families, whether it's transportation, fuel assistance, some utility assistance. Transportation is a big issue, trying to get back and forth to doctors. A lot of people, our patients living with sickle cell, are low to moderate income, and so there's just not always a lot of extra money. And so sometimes it's a matter of choosing, between medicine or paying the light bill. And so where we can, we try to come in and assist. But we also have counseling services where our social worker provides support groups, individual and family counseling for families to help them cope with the stressors that come as a result of sickle cell disease.
What are you trying to accomplish from this? I mean, raising awareness is a huge thing
tonight, absolutely.
About anything,
yes.
Any disease or any issue. But surprisingly, this sickle cell,
yes,
it's one of the diseases that not a lot of people talk about.
Correct.
Or doing things to help.
Correct. And in fact, we often call it the forgotten disease because you're right, it gets drowned out by all the other issues that are out there, all the other diseases which have their own challenges, but sickle cell is under the radar for a lot of people. And so we're doing our part here at the council to try and continue to raise that awareness and get people in the room who are people of influence who can now help spread our message, get someone else wearing our t-shirt and helping to spread that message about sickle cell and its need. That will help us ultimately in the long run.
Okay, and if there is one thing we want everyone out there to know and do, what would that be?
Well, I would want everyone, for us here locally, I would like you to contact our organization and see how you might help us, not only financially, but in terms of volunteering. We'd love to have people volunteer with us as well. but we want people to know that there are people living silently, suffering silently, and valiantly, I might add, with sickle cell disease, courageously. And just because you see them looking normal and healthy doesn't mean that they aren't going through something on the inside. And so we want you to appreciate those individuals and connect with us and help us get the message out that people can live well with sickle cell, but they have to have proper support. And that's what we're trying to provide. And so we're asking people to come along beside us and help us provide those vital services to those individuals.
And we will get all the information, the link and ways of helping at the end of the video.
Thank you.
So anyone out there who are able and listening to this and they want to contact you or someone else in your organization and provide support, money, volunteering, or any kind of service.
That's correct.
And just to know, learn and learn about this disease and try to help.
Starts with education. That's right, and awareness. Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, I know you're a busy man and you have a long night ahead of you.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate the time.
Thank you for coming here tonight.
We're looking forward to having another interview with you.
So much.
Thank you very much.
What a blessing. Thank you, sister. All right.
I have Francia here with me, and can you please introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Sure.
And what you do.
My name is Francia Henry. I'm a mom, and I also work for the Susquehanna Township Police Department, where I'm a police officer.
Thank you for your service. And why are you here tonight?
I'm here tonight to support the Sickle Cell organization because as a parent, I think it's important to support any organization that can help others and that can help families that perhaps aren't as fortunate and that can use assistance. And as a member of the community, I feel like it's my responsibility to help others by any means, whether it's volunteering, donations, and attending events such as this.
Well, thank you very much for your service and everything that you do. And this whole night is about raising awareness, and how and why is that important in our community?
I think it's important to recognize the issues that are existing in our community and in everyday lives of people in our community that could use our help. And on a day-to-day basis, people with sickle cell and their families sometimes are suffering or are in need of basic things. And again, as a member of the community, we can do simple things to make their day a little bit easier and to make their suffering a little less cumbersome.
Such as volunteering or donating money or other forms of help.
Yes, anything that they need, whether it's assistance in getting to medical appointments, volunteering, funding that can help them to maybe pay for co-pays, medical expenses, or basic things that they may need that maybe they won't have the money for because of dealing with the symptoms of their illnesses and taking time off work. I mean, some people, if you don't go to work, you don't get paid. And this organization can maybe offer money to those families so they can make ends meet.
Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us, and hopefully we can raise more awareness, and hopefully we can get some time with you personally to talk about your job. Welcome back. I have Judge Royce here with me. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
I'm Royce Morris. I'm a local attorney in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area, and I was just elected judge of Dauphin County Court of Common Pleas.
Congratulations. We're glad to have you here. And we're here covering or trying to raise awareness about sickle cell disease.
Yes.
And I see you part of this organization. What makes you attend tonight?
Joseph Robinson, who's the executive director, is someone who I've known and I'm very friendly with, and I know he has a passion and a zeal for trying to fight for awareness for this disease. And this disease affects a lot of African Americans, and so it's something that we should all be aware of. And I think sometimes it's overlooked and people don't understand it. And the people that are affected by sickle cell often have to use medication to deal with the pain. And so sometimes there's a stigma to that, especially nowadays when people are worried about opioids. So it's good that people are out getting to know more about this disease.
Okay, okay. Well, if there's one thing that you want everyone to do, try to help or support this organization, or try just to learn about sickle cell in general.
Yeah.
What would you ask the public to do?
To really read about it and try to understand it, and talk to people that have sickle cell so you can hear their stories and how they deal with the pain and how they suffer every day, and you know, obviously raising funds and money to be able to treat and maybe even come up with a cure for this disease.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for everything that you're doing, and hopefully we can sit down with you one-on-one to talk about your job and what you do.
Thank you, that'd be great.
And congratulations again.
Thank you.
It's an honor. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Elise here with us. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
My name is Elise Irvis. I'm here, born and raised Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I do business development specifically for communities of color in central Pennsylvania.
Thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, and I really just want to encourage everyone, especially the young people, to be engaged, to connect with your peers, to cultivate one another, and to make sure you spend time celebrating all of the achievements, and especially within those communities of color.
And why are you here tonight?
Tonight, I'm here to support Joe Robinson, the Sickle Cell organization, listening to community members tell their stories, their testimonies, and like I said, the bottom line really is about connecting and cultivating, right? So that I learned something new just coming out and connecting with these folk, and at the same time we're celebrating the triumphs, we're celebrating the progress and the future progress, and it has a true impact on the community. It's how, just trying to spark some change.
Perfect, perfect. And if there's one thing you want everyone out there to know, or what they can do?
You don't need to move to another city, you don't need to move to another state. A lot of times your riches are right at the ground under your feet. So use your mind, use the resources next to you, around you, and you'll be able to do whatever you really want to do.
All right, well, thank you for your time. We appreciate everything you do, and thank you for taking the minute to talk to us.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Today we enjoyed wonderful music, great entertainment, wonderful keynote speakers that taught us the importance of preventing, treating, and controlling sickle cell that affects so many individuals. With your help, there's hope in the future. We will now like to say hello, join us, and support the South Central Sickle Cell Council under the direct leadership of our Executive Director, Joe Robinson. Thank you for investing in our generation. And for the future generation, we'd like to leave you with a great message to say, this little light of ours, we're going to let it shine. And we hope you shine as well as we continue to unite, to protect ourselves, and to lead a healthy and well life.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.